Today, I'd like to talk about the fear of running out. And if we examine our beliefs more carefully, chances are you believe in a universe that runs dry. And you don't believe in eternity. And so a scarcity mindset is very difficult to overcome because it's laced in all sorts of fearful corners in our psyche. But the only thing that does run out in the universe is fear. So I want to talk to you about that. The fear of running out, the fear of missing out, that sort of thing. So I hope you'll stick around. One of the best questions you can ask yourself is, what am I afraid of? Years ago, I started with the question, who am I? What do I want? What's my purpose? And recently, I have asked myself, what am I afraid of? And if we truly examine ourselves, you'll understand the science behind hoarding and saving and protecting. We believe the universe runs out. And while on a physical level, it does, or at least it appears to, on a metaphysical level, consciousness itself does not run dry. And believe it or not, that's all you ever needed, was to be conscious. But we have these bodies which fear because we don't understand the depth of consciousness. You see, I think most of us believe to be that we are inhabitants of a body, and we're carrying around a skeleton and a bag of skin. And what's outside of the body, so-called, is this environment or our circumstances which have nothing to do with us and who we are in the invisible epicenter of here and now. And so a fear of missing out is simply just a misunderstanding of the fundamental nature of who you are. See, the physical world is a pattern of behaviors. That's all. You are a pattern of atoms, molecules, and chemicals that behave in a certain way. And I think it's interesting that science uses the word behave. Electrons behave, atoms behave. So in that realm of physics, the universe is extremely lawful. And so Stephen Hawking said that the laws of science, he said, if you want to call the laws of science God, good. But it's not this personal being that you can pose questions to. Yet science asks questions, right? That's what a hypothesis is. It's a question. And we set out to prove it. And so in the world of the spiritual part of the universe, this is the invisible part that we can detect. It behaves in such a lawful way, you begin to chuckle about what you thought you feared. See, we fear this sinister underworld of the universe, and we call it chance and luck and all sorts of things. Even chance and luck, so-called, behave according to formulas, and it's mind-boggling. So on a metaphysical level, you can also learn how the unseen behaves. And when you start to get it, it's like, wow. There truly is nothing to be afraid of. You will live forever. And you are not locked into a bag of skin. So, human beings have a perception that what's outside of the body is not them. But Alan Watts, bless his heart, preached and preached and preached that creature and environment are one, and we are not pushing the environment around, nor is the environment pushing us around. The environment is you. Yes, your body is you. Yeah, this is true. The physical is you, but not only. It's as if you are observing this creature that you are, and it dangles in the world. You're not in the world. You were not born into the world. You are out of this world, watching a body that seems to be in a world. But the observation deck is not in this world. I like to think of myself as an invisible whirlpool. And for people who have a good sense of their inner working, they realize that they are invisible. There is an invisible presence that cannot be touched, bothered, harmed, disturbed, or moved. It looks like you're moving in the world, but you're always here and now. Always. You can never be unplugged from that truth. And so if you just stop long enough, when you get scared, you'll feel the fear come into your body and it feels so toxic. That's because you are hypnotized by what I call outer source thinking. Outer source thinking means that the environment, the stuff out there, can harm me. And remember, your body is perceived as being out there. Your mind is even out there. But there's an inner world, an unseen inner world, which is the mind of your mind, the body of your body, the soul of your soul, the being of your being. And that's where you're observing all of this. And everybody is that wonderful, loving, peaceful witness. And so you realize your environment is an extension of how well you know yourself. And that's getting to understand your inner workings. And when you begin to understand your inner workings, you realize, oh, the creature that I am is sort of dangling in the world, and the world beyond it is also the creature. So the outside world, the air, the things you see out there, are projected from you, you see. So the outside world is an inner phenomenon from some realm that's been tried. It goes beyond the senses. Joe Dispenza calls it the field of potential, the quantum field. Jesus called it the kingdom of heaven. Buddha called it nirvana. I call it the inner landscape. It's the untouchable, unscathable, unbothered center. And it never runs out because that's where consciousness emanates from. And so what's interesting about being in a conundrum or a difficult situation or a circumstance that seems to scare you, if it scares you, you're believing in outside sources. And everything is an inside phenomenon. Because we can't get outside of the universe and look at it. from where is the outside to the universe that you can step out and see it from the so-called outside. You see, so then everything becomes one. The creature these limbs appear to be in an outside world, but there's no such thing. So creature and environment are one. So you have to understand the way it's ordered. This outside world is secondary to the primary inner observer. The he that is within is greater than the he that is in the world. I've got to quote the Bible again, 1 John. But it's true. It's this inner desire, this inner knowing, and that what appears as outer is an illusion to me. What appears as control is illusion to me. What appears as my will, what appears as my body. And so you get that distance that the Buddha called detachment. And in that distance, that space grows. And so as fear seems to be coming in, you awaken to the illusion that you're being attacked, that you're not a victim. But in order to overcome fear, you have to get pretty close to, if not directly, in the situations that used to scare the shit out of you. So I think it's Jack Canfield said, everything you want is on the other side of fear. So you begin to understand the game is to do what you are afraid of. Do the opposite. Do what scares the shit out of you. And that's where life's greatest rewards are, because you realize there is no losing in this sense. There's no opponent. People who understand this amazing realization understand that there's no enemy. That you can say the dark and the light are both alike. I know it's a non-dual term, but the day and the night are both alike. The dark and the light are both alike. One extreme, you have this horrible, horrible, negative, compulsive mind. And on the other extreme, you have a spirit that's unopposed and that can do everything. And that can, in any moment where the character, which is who you think you are, the character might get trapped, the creative mind flows and will solve every single problem, because the he that is within is smarter. It's actually producing the phenomena of in and out. And so the ego, which is the feeling of fear, runs out of things to be afraid of. Especially if you get into your own death. The ego runs out of shit to scare you with. That's not to say that if somebody put a gun to my head, I wouldn't feel fear. I just haven't had that experience, but I don't ruminate about that. I don't think, oh my God, I'm going to get shot. But every single thing I feared, from being broke to being single to being old to being bald to being in the hospital to being sick to being in pain to being without food, you name it, I've experienced it. And I've felt that fear. And the only thing that I could do was not cave into it, but go into the cavern of space called silence and listen. Because a lot of times we don't listen to the silence because we don't think there's anything in it. But the silence can be translated, and the silence is telling you where to go. And a great spiritual pioneer is somebody who's investigated the scary places that people don't want to go to. Alone, fasting, they've explored these things and realized the enormous euphoric benefit of fasting, doing without, depriving yourself, putting yourself in awkward situations, and making yourself do something that your body fears, because you know you can transcend the body. If the body fears it, you, the more supreme, invisible intelligence, will transcend anything the body sends as a negative signal of fear. It will transcend. And the more you lean into the fear, the more the ego gives up. Eventually, fear gives up. And rather than avoiding, so if you're filled with fear, you do one of three things. You flee, you fight, or you fear. You just petrified. Don't do anything. You get tense. But you learn that fear is a calling card. Do it anyway. Show yourself there is no risk. Show yourself that the so-called spiritual world is ordered. And this is the secret of spiritual enlightenment, is that you are not afraid. And you can do things that other people think are courageous, but they're not. They're calling. The Spirit is calling you towards what you're afraid of to demonstrate amazing potential. And potential is disguised in hidden ways. Potential is disguised in limit and fear. That's where the greatest potential is hiding, in things we're afraid to do and things we feel we need beyond just consciousness itself. So, if you fear running out, I want you to go ahead and run out. And show yourself how creative your mind would be. Socrates said that need will be our greatest creator. And that has been reworded as necessity is the mother of invention, which is funny because the word mother is very similar to the word father. And that's what Jesus called his creative ingenuity. He called it father. I call it my inner landscape, my creative genius. And when you're put into tight spaces, or at least it seems that way, and you get afraid, if you just pause, you'll get directed to creative acts. And then you'll do inspiring things. And that's, you always do inspired actions, not fearful ones. You may feel the fear in your body, but it's like being on a roller coaster. You're scared, but you know you're safe. That's what spiritual enlightenment feels like. It feels like I'm safe, but the fleshly part of me is still scared. I'm still scared to go on the roller coaster, but I know it's a completely safe ride. You just pick up on this. You're safe even without any money. You're safe without any food. You're still safe even if the conditions get really, really hard. The super intelligence in you knows the way out, and you will always find a way. So, if you fear running out, you may have to experience a temporary inconvenience to show yourself that you can unbury yourself. You can be inexhaustively creative. But you can't do this hypothetically. You're going to have to experience it. But then the more you experience leaning into fear, the more rewarding life becomes. And it's titillating. You know, fear is kind of titillating. That's why we go to haunted houses and stuff around Halloween. It's like, oh, I wonder if what's in there. Well, spiritual pioneer is going to explore everything he or she is afraid of, including silence, not doing nothing. That's weird. We don't even think about doing nothing. We got to fix stuff. Leave your circumstances a big fat mess. If you can't do anything about it, leave it alone. Let the fear dissipate in you, and you'll realize you can live in a messy situation, and it will tidy itself up. But not unless you're meddlesome and that sort of thing. So, think about all these things. A lot to think about. I suggest going back and watching this video again because I did say quite a bit. But it's something that you can be assured of, is that fear does exhaust itself. And when you run out of fear, you get off of the vicious circles. If there's no more fear, there's no more vicious circles, so you don't have to keep living the same day over and over again. Your evolution happens much quicker, and it's exciting. So I hope you enjoyed these insights. Please check out my blog, mymorningmotivator.com, or one of my books on Amazon. And thank you for watching.